All right, let's dive into something really foundational in Java today. We're talking about the I/O and utility packages, basically the essential toolbox every single developer needs to know.
You know, it's a question I think we all ask ourselves at some point in our careers, right? You've gotten past the basics, your code runs, but what's next? How do you go from just making it work to making it great?
Well, here's the thing. It's not always about some super complex algorithm. A huge part of that leap from good to great, it's all about knowing your tools. I mean, really knowing the powerful stuff that Java gives you for free right out of the box.
So, I want you to think of Java Standard Library like a fully stocked developer's toolbox. Seriously, it's got everything you need for handling data, managing files, you name it. And today, we're going to pop the lid on that toolbox and take a good look inside.
Okay, first things first. Every tool in a workshop needs something to work on, some kind of raw material. And in the world of Java, that raw material, the absolute foundation for everything you build, is the object class.
Yup, you heard that right. It is the granddaddy of them all. I don't care if you're making a student class, a car class, whatever. It all ultimately comes from object. It's like the shared DNA that runs through the entire Java ecosystem.
But here's the key takeaway. Just because you get these methods for free doesn't mean they're good to go. The default versions are, well, they're pretty basic. To make your objects actually useful, you almost always need to override them. A custom toString, it'll save you hours of debugging, trust me. And getting equals and hashCode right, that's not just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential if you want things like hash maps to work at all.
And speaking of those two, this is something you have to get right. This contract between equals and hashCode is like a sacred rule in Java. Break it, and you're in for a world of pain. Your hash maps and hash sets will start acting bizarrely, losing things you just put in. It creates some of the most frustrating bugs you'll ever have to find. So yeah, learn this contract, live it, breathe it.
Okay, so now we know how to build a proper object. Fantastic. But what do we do with it? We need to be able to save it, read it back, send it somewhere. That's where Java's I/O packages come into play. Think of them as the filing system for our application.
And you basically got two main choices here, which really shows how Java has evolved. On one hand, you have the classic java.io. It's reliable, it works byte by byte, but, and this is a big but, it's blocking. That means your program just sits there and waits. Then you've got the new kid on the block, java.nio. This is the high-speed, modern version. It works with chunks of data, buffers, and it can be non-blocking. Why does that matter? Well, if you're building, say, a web server that has to juggle thousands of connections at once, non-blocking I/O is a total game changer.
All right, so beyond the fundamentals of objects and I/O, that toolbox we talked about is just packed with other cool gadgets. The java.util package is like a Swiss Army knife for developers. It's got helpers for everything. But let's zoom in on a few really powerful tools that solve some super common problems.
So picture this. You've got this perfect object running in your application, full of important data. Now, how do you, snapshot it, freeze it in time so you can save it to a file or shoot it across the network to another computer?
The solution is a really cool process called serialization. The best way to think about it is like a vacuum sealer for your code. You just slap this serializable label on your class, and boom! Java can now take your live object and flatten it down into a stream of bytes. It perfectly preserves its state. And pro tip, if there's stuff you don't want to save, like a password or some temporary data, you just mark it as transient. Super useful.
Oh man, if you've ever had to work with dates and times in older Java code, you know the pain. The old date and calendar classes were just a mess. They were confusing, easy to break, and a nightmare in multi-threaded apps. Thankfully, Java 8 gave us a massive upgrade with the java.time package. It's like going from a weird, clunky old clock that you have to wind up to a perfectly accurate digital atomic clock. It just works. It's safe, it's clear, and it makes handling time zones and dates so much easier.
Okay, let's tackle another big one. Your app is a hit. Awesome! But now you've got users in the US, in France, in Japan. How do you make sure your app speaks their language? And I don't just mean translating words, but also handling dates, numbers, and currencies correctly.
This whole concept is called Internationalization, or IATN for short. And Java has this brilliant tool called a resource bundle that works like a universal adapter for your text. So instead of writing hello directly in your code, you use a key, like greeting. Then, based on the user's location, Java automatically plugs in the right value,
Hello, bonjour, konnichiwa. It's an incredibly elegant solution for taking your application global.
All right, so that was a quick tour of some of the most powerful tools in the Java Toolbox. Let's do a quick roll call.
So we started with the absolute foundation, the object class. Then we looked at our filing systems, the classic java.io and the high-performance java.no. We covered the vacuum sealer for objects, serialization, the precision clock that is java.time, and the universal adapter for going global, internationalization. And remember, knowing these tools exist is one thing. Mastering them is what turns you from someone who just writes code into someone who engineers solid, reliable, and powerful software.
Look, a great developer doesn't just have a toolbox full of stuff they've never used. They knew every tool intimately. They know when to pull out the hammer and when to use the screwdriver. So think of this as your guide to what's inside. Now the real question is, which one of these tools are you going to pick up and master first? The only way to find out is to start building. Thanks for joining me.